General. We love the partnership here. They do a fantastic job helping us treat patients, supporting law enforcement and public safety, and ensuring that we continue to be the best state in the country to raise a family. I'm honored to be joined here this morning by Commissioner Wilton Simpson, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. We've got the great Dr. Joseph Ladapo, our State Surgeon General. I've got Melissa Golombek, who's President of Tampa General, Executive Vice President at the Florida Health Sciences Center. Dr. Corey Howard joins us again, who is the Associate Medical Director for the Florida Poison Information Center of Tampa. He also is an Assistant Professor at USF Health, Morsani College of Medicine. We've got Dr. Thomas Nappy, who's the Medical Director of Inpatient Addiction Medicine at USF TGH. He's also an Associate Professor of Emergency Medicine at USF. He's also a medical toxicologist with the Florida Poison Information Center here in Tampa. We've got Representative Dean Black from our Florida House of Representatives, 15th District. And then we have Patty Wheeler here, who's a mother and who lost a son due to a kratom concentrate product, and I'll let her share her story. Not quite a year ago, we issued an emergency rule rescheduling 7-OH, which is a chemical extract from the kratom plant where they remove and highly concentrate a product, selling it on the shelves, a product that our chemists have analyzed can be as potent as 13 times or more potent than morphine. We rescheduled this, making it unlawful to sell this. Gas station morphine, as we called it, was found in 7-Elevens and stores, retail stores up and down the state, on shelves next to candy bars, snacks, at the fingertips of children. Since 2013, Florida medical examiners have linked at least 587 overdose deaths to 7-OH and related chemical compound drugs. This is not going to be tolerated in Florida. We do everything we can to protect our kids from busting child predators, where we've taken down almost 1,800 in the last year, to litigating against social media platforms that have exposed and harmed our kids, to going after these illicit drugs that are smuggled into our country, many from overseas adversaries like China, killing our kids from within our country. It is a new form of warfare, and in Florida we will continue to fight back. After we launched the first rule, we did have some positive impacts. We were able to shut down a lot of these dangerous drugs. I'll let Commissioner Simpson talk about the great work his team did taking down and busting these criminals. But the reality is, evildoers will try to skirt the system. They will try to dodge, deviate, and come up with new ways to profit over public safety. So our new rule, which will drop today, is going to expand. We are going to make sure that new chemical compounds that are being used to blend or substitute 7-OH derivatives will be included. Products like MGM-15 and 16, metrogenine pseudoxyl, 9-hydroxychloromethodine, and 7-acetoxymetragenine, among others, will be included. No, I am not a chemist, but I am a prosecutor, and if you violate our rule, we are going to make you pay for it. You could be looking at up to 30-year prison sentences, and believe me, we will be looking to make some examples out of bad actors. So the new rule will, and again, we will publish this where you can read it for yourself. The new rule will implement some new criteria. Number one, no product may contain more than 1 milligram of these dangerous chemicals per gram, and this will be 7-OH and related concentrates. Number two, any product containing any amount of 7-OH or a related compound must also contain at least 100 times more regular metragenine by mass. What this is doing is preventing these super concentrated chemical compounds that lead to morphine-like opiates at the fingertips of kids. We're not going to stand by and let our kids suffer. A year ago, we acted quickly, first in the nation, after the U.S. FDA issued a health advisory for 7-OH. We've since had similar advisories here in the state, and we've seen in other 5 or 6 states across the country citing severe adverse health consequences for young people step up and issue restrictions of their own. So today we issue a new rule based on new evidence, new broader expansions to protect our kids, and we will look forward to enforcing it. So with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Wilton Simpson, America's Commissioner here.
Thank you, Attorney General. And, you know, the Department of Agriculture has a very large consumer services division. And we were standing here a year ago, and I believe even prior to that, talking about the hemp-related products that they're getting after our children with, which was banned by the Florida legislature a few years ago. Since that banning, we've removed over 1.7 million packages of hemp-laden product, and we've also endured several lawsuits, which we are proud to say that we have won those lawsuits protecting our children. A year ago, the Attorney General issued an emergency order on 7-OH. We've been proud to be a partner in that effort. We've removed over 23,000 packages of 7-OH, illegal 7-OH, in the last year. And in addition to that, we issued our own rule, making it very clear that we want proper labeling on this package. If adults are using kratom products for medicinal purposes, they need to know what they are receiving. And our people are, and we have hundreds of these folks that are inspecting every day, are out looking for these products every day. This is a tragedy when our society can have one different compound or one different chemical and make it a completely different product that are killing people in our society. And I want to put everybody on notice. We're going to go after all of these products, and we really appreciate the Attorney General's efforts here to make sure that we're safe. I know the legislature has looked at that this year. They're going to look at it again next year. You'll hear in a few minutes about those efforts. But the Department of Agriculture is going to continue to protect society and protect our children from these dangerous drugs. So thank you, Attorney General, for your great work.
All right, Dr. Ladapo, come on up.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here in Tampa General, here again with our Attorney General. So it was, as he was saying, it was a year ago when we were here with the former FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, and our Commissioner was here, and other members of the team were here to talk about what we were doing in Florida, thanks to James, and what the FDA was doing about 7-OH. So, you know, it's I really appreciate what James is doing here, and I feel like it's important first to just to note that, you know, this isn't about kratom. Some people will try and conflate restrictions on 7-OH with some war against kratom, and I want to be clear that I don't feel that way. I don't think that's the intention at all, and it's not the outcome of this this new rule that the Attorney General is talking about. Now, kratom, no, so, you know, anyone who knows me now knows that I'm a big believer in really, if you call it, non-pharmaceutical methods of sustaining your health. And, you know, and the things that people use kratom for, you know, could more people be going on walks, exercising, spending more time outside, meditation, you know, doing other, you know, activities? Yeah, they could be doing those things to kind of help them to achieve whatever their goal is with using kratom. But at the same time, it's a product that's been, you know, on this earth and has been used probably for thousands of years, and it's generally been used safely. So the ability of people to use kratom if they want is not what this discussion's about. Rather, this discussion is about really predatory behavior, and that's what the Attorney General has described. And that's exactly what it is. You know, this component of kratom that is it's a tiny piece, tiny proportion of kratom, is concentrated, synthesized, and it has opioid effects. It has other effects that aren't fully understood. And it's just an addiction game here. I mean, that is all this is. This isn't an attempt to, you know, with kratom, oftentimes people are using it to aid their health in some way, and that's not the case here. 7-OH is really about addiction, and with manufacturers responding by trying to skirt the rules, it just emphasizes the fact, it just really underscores the fact that this is just about addiction and exploiting it for financial gain. That's all 7-OH is about. You add on the fact that these products are available, or have been in the past available, right at gas stations where kids are, in stores, and it's outrageous. So it's terrific that the Attorney General and Commissioner Wilton Simpson are taking steps to really restrict access to this, especially to young people. And I fully support it. I'm glad that I could be here with the Attorney General to, lend the Department of Health support for this policy move. So, yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, James.
I'll add that, here in Florida, there are no 7-OH or derivative products that have been approved for medical treatments. That's something, obviously, that the legislature could do in the long run if there was clearly a need, that the medical profession cited. But right now, it is a highly concentrated opiate that is addicting people and taking lives. So next, we will hear from Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Melissa Golombek. I serve as the Executive Vice President of Florida Health Sciences and the President of Tampa General Hospital. We are proud to be one of the nation's leading academic health systems, and together with USF Health, we are continuing to provide access to highly specialized care, world-class physicians, new innovation, and cutting-edge research. We are also thrilled to welcome today our Attorney General, Commissioner, and our Surgeon General at Tampa General. Under your leadership, Florida is leading the nation in cracking down on opioid use. Too often we see in our emergency room patients coming through experiencing overdose. With access to 7-OH at every convenience store, we are having teens purchase this without understanding the true addiction and the highly lethal ability that this drug has. Under the Attorney General's executive order and Commissioner's enforcement, Florida will continue to lead the way and remove these substances from our shelves for our children. By doing this, we not only help the people of Florida, but we are saving lives. Thank you all for your leadership. Thank you for what you are doing, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Dr. Howard?
Good morning. Hello, I'm Dr. Corey Howard. I am an emergency medicine physician at Tampa General. I see this firsthand. I work through the USF Department of Emergency Medicine, but I'm also a board-certified medical toxicologist, and I serve as the Associate Medical Director at Poison Control here in Tampa. In recent years, we've seen a rising trend of exposure to these 7-OH products. In the first 4 months of 2026, Florida Poison Control has already received 95 cases of calls of 7-OH and other derivatives. At this pace, we're going to surpass our last year's numbers. What's really shocking is that it is a wide range of demographics that get exposed to this, male and female, and everything down as far as 3 months of exposure to 97 years old. 7-OH is generally sold at convenience stores, gas stations, and vape shops, and it is widely available in a variety of consumer-friendly formats, including gummies, tablets, capsules, drink mixes and shots, teas, and concentrated liquid extracts. 7-OH is deliberately designed to hide its dangers. It's often labeled natural or made from a botanical extract. It's marketed as a remedy for pain and anxiety, and it appeals to children with bright packaging and fruit flavors. Fortunately today, our state leaders, General Uthmeyer, Commissioner Simpson, and Dr. Ladapo, have taken action to remove these products from the shelves, and it is really important to continue this emergency rule and enforcement to keep our Florida families safe and from harm. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and specifically expansion of the new derivatives as well, because we are seeing those pop up a lot. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Nappy?
Hi, I'm Dr. Nappy. I'm an emergency physician here, and I'm also a medical toxicologist and an addiction specialist. I serve as the medical director for inpatient addiction medicine, and I think this is a really great team that's come together, a group of leaders that's really has a great intention at heart of protecting our community and our families. And, you know, people have turned to Kratom over the years, as has been said already, as a form of trying to assist with your health. People look to it for pain remedies, for even trying to come off of opioids. They perceive it sometimes as a safer alternative. And what we've been seeing over the years is these concentrated forms and even estranged doses of Kratom itself, where these products become more potent, they become more dangerous, they become much more addictive. And whereas folks think they're getting into something that they might think is relatively safe, they are finding themselves suffering from severe dependency, severe tolerance in just a couple of days. And overdose and death is a very real risk. So people tend to sometimes need more and more of it. They find themselves struggling, trying to keep up with these addictions, these cravings, these withdrawals, and they do need help. They come to us for help quite often. They're very much suffering from the dependency and the withdrawal and the pain that's associated with that, the tremors, the hypertension, the elevated heart rate, the severe anxiety, sometimes even seizures, and they require some intensive support to come off of this stuff. Prescription medication assisted therapy is oftentimes necessary, but I think what's really important today is that we're taking steps for education and prevention and regulation so that we could avoid some of these problems up front and protect our families and our community. And if there are folks out there who are suffering and they're looking for help, you know, there are resources. There's the crisis hotline, which you could just text 988. There's also the National Help Hotline, which is 1-800-662-HELP. And there's also your local emergency departments and mental health centers that are willing to help you and looking forward to caring for you. So I'm really happy to be a part of this. I'm really grateful for all of our leadership here, and I think everyone's doing a fantastic job. Thanks.
I'll say here quickly, you know, a lot of people often respond with, well, you know, people aren't dying everywhere. You know, you don't have kids dropping like flies everywhere with this. Why are you stepping in with emergency action? The last time we issued a rule, it was argued before us that we did not have sufficient evidence of child harm to move forward. I reject this entirely. It's not our job to stand back and wait to lose our little ones. Where we see evidence that is emergency in nature, it's our duty as officials to step in quickly and do the right thing. A lot of these chemical enhancements, this is new. It's only been going on the last couple years. We're not going to stand by and wait until a lot of people get hurt or lose their lives to step in and do the right thing. Representative Black.
Thank you, Attorney General. You know, I want to echo your sentiments that you just eloquently expressed. We're gathered here today, and the people behind me are gathered here today because we face a true public health emergency. People are dying, and people's lives are being ruined. And it is not our duty to allow that to become as bad as it can possibly be. Attorney General, thank you for knowing how to recognize an emergency and how to act with alacrity when faced with one. That is what we're doing here today. But we also must make permanent the changes in temporary emergency rules. And the Florida legislature is going to give due attention to this. And I know that there are many powerful interests on both sides of this equation. We will make sure that we craft this responsibly. We will talk with the Attorney General, with Commissioner Simpson, with the scientists gathered here with us, and with our Surgeon General. And we will do this with real wisdom. But make no mistake about it. Although there are special interests involved in this debate, the only special interest we should care about is public health and safety. And that is all that we will care about. The legislature will work diligently to land this law in the right spot because Florida leads. And other states will look to our example. We have to get this right because other states are going to follow us. And there are lives throughout the country that will be depending upon us. So we are going to do that work. It is an emergency. We have gathered with us a lady that I've come to know, Miss Debbie Wheeler, who lost her son. And you'll hear from her in a moment. But in the midst of her tragedy, she found courage. She found courage to carry this fight. I'm grateful that you're here, ma'am. I'm sorry for your loss. But I am grateful for your leadership and yours, Attorney General, because we will do a very good thing here. The first, second, and third priority is public health and safety. Thank you each for fighting for that. Thank you.
He called her Debbie.
Thank you, Representative. I appreciate your note on how Florida leads. A year ago, we were the first state to take action in this dangerous space, and we were followed very shortly. Ohio, Alabama, Louisiana, Utah, Kentucky, and Texas also took action in one way or another to ban or restrict dangerous 7-OH products. Today, we take that even further. Now I'd like to have Patty come up. Losing a child is something that no parent should ever have to go through. And I have so much respect for her. I don't think I would be able to stand up here being in that situation, but I hope that there is some good that can come out of what happened through the protection and saving of other lives. So thank you, Patty.
Tell the truth, Patty.
Thank you. I want to see how Dean Black gets out of calling me Debbie. Well, let's see. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I just wanted you to see Wyatt. He was an incredibly handsome young man, just a beautiful soul inside and out. And I thank you all for having me here. Would you? Attorney General, Representative Dean Black from Jacksonville. My name is Patty Wheeler. I am an advocate for the awareness for dangers against kratom. I am also a documentarian, a film producer, and a children's book writer, author of a series that I created with my sons, Gannon and Wyatt, called Travels with Gannon and Wyatt. Unfortunately, The Advocate and the documentary showed up after my son Wyatt, at 27 years old and attending business school at TCU, died after a kratom concentrate. Wyatt walked into a vape store 6 weeks earlier and purchased powder. He began taking that powder October the 6th, when I saw him last on our vacation in Aspen. I asked him, "What is this?" I found it in his bathroom. I looked at it. Of course, as a mom, I looked it right up online, and I did not like what I was seeing. And he told me, "Mom, don't worry about this. This is just an herbal supplement, and I'm taking it because it's an alternative for alcohol for me. I believe it's safe, and it's no problem." And I said, "Well, you know, Wyatt, just do me a favor and don't take it right now. Let's do a little bit more research." So he said he wouldn't, and he didn't. Instead, he returned to Fort Worth in school, and by October 25th, just 18 days later, Wyatt died in his brother's arms, having a seizure from the concentrate, OPMS. I created a documentary to bring awareness to this, and it's called Kratom Side Effects May Include, and his brother named it. It's to request truth, transparency, and begging for informed consent. Because people deserve to know what it is they're putting in their body. They deserve proper labeling, they deserve honest information, and families should not find out about kratom when it's too late. At the time of Wyatt's death on October 25th, there were reported nearly 2 million users. That was in October. By 25, when the movie wrapped, there were an estimated 18 to 20 million. During that 2-year period of 2022 to 2024, I suspect by 24, 7-OH was on the market. And the addiction rate had skyrocketed, along with higher death tolls. But let's not forget the ones that died of pure powder and of the concentrate. We need to stop the killing, the overdosing, but most importantly, all this misinformation. Most importantly, the CDC reported 5,500 deaths between 2020 and 2024. That is 5,500 that we know of that were reported. But unless the families asked for a kratom check at the time of death, it didn't get reported. There's a lot of conversation and smoking mirrors to deflect kratom conversation and protect the greed. The simple truth is if you remove kratom from many of these combined toxology reports, these people would be still with us. My son Wyatt died after using a kratom concentrate product, something that was 50 to 100 times more powerful than the powder he was taking. That loss changed my life forever. While the proposal before Florida focuses on 7-hydroxymetrazidine, my concern goes much further. I do not believe that Floridians should be a part of a nationwide experiment involving products that can be purchased in convenience stores and gas stations without the level of scrutiny that we expect from a substance that affects our bodies and minds. If a substance is safe, then the FDA should review it, regulate it, and determine the appropriate standards. If it is not safe, it should not be on the shelf. My position is simple. Public safety should come before commercial interest and greed. It is not our responsibility to put our gas station and vape store operators in pharmaceutical lab coats. I really appreciate the opportunity to share Wyatt's story with you today. I would give anything not to have to be here, but I know he's proud, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Patty, for your witness. I think it's important to point out to people at home, just because something's on a shelf in a store doesn't mean it's safe and legal to be there. I think that's something that a lot of parents lose track of. They think, oh, if it's here in this retail store, it must be okay. And we see this in the vape context, in the hemp context, and more, presently now in other synthetic products like 7-OH and its derivatives. So we need our legislature to step up and give us more tools to go out and ensure that products at the fingertips of our citizens here in Florida, not just kids, but especially kids, that those products are safe. And we need tools to step up, take action, and put away bad guys that want to endanger our citizens. I want to thank Commissioner Simpson for his role in going after these harmful substances and taking them down in large quantities. He's got a broad portfolio, but nevertheless prioritizes this because it does save lives. Thanks to the Surgeon General. Thank you to our medical professionals for helping us with public safety. Thank you, Representative Black, for your leadership here. Florida must continue to lead on challenging issues like this. And Patty, thank you again for being here and the strength to come tell your story. So with that, we'll publish the rule today. I'm happy to take some questions. I won't get into the nuances of the rule, again, because I don't want to embarrass myself with chemical compounds. We did indeed work with chemists and our prosecutors in crafting something that will save lives, and I'll point you directly to that today. With that, if there's any other questions, we got time for a couple. A few, and as a lawyer, that's compound question is a violation of the rules of evidence, but I'm not surprised with you, no. Let's start with one. We'll see where we go from there.
The first one is just how slippery has this industry been and these gas station operators
So I'll start by saying the question is how slippery, has the industry been to try to evade our rules? Slippery. But I will say at the outset, we did see significant exodus of products and businesses after we initiated the first rule. So it did do a good job. That said, I think people that make tens of millions or more on this, which is what these retailers appear to be making, they're going to dodge the rule. They're going to try to keep making that money, and we continue to see the adverse health consequences, more so even last year with the new rule in place. That's the statistical data we just heard. So we've got to do more. We've always got to stay one step ahead of them, and when it comes to emergencies that endanger our kids, we will do that. All right, second question.
Forgive me, I just want to ask about another topic. It's been reported Alligator Alcatraz this morning is closing permanently. A, can you confirm that? And B, can you look back on this investment that the state made and say that it was worth it?
The question's about Alligator Alcatraz, which is reported to be closing. I'm not the proper official to confirm that. I do know that the people that were being brought in for detention, that number was going down. That was always to be expected. I think Alligator Alcatraz actually stayed open longer than it was intentionally planned. When it was first conceptualized, the federal government had not yet devoted money and resources towards immigration enforcement. There, the state of Florida, seeing the very dangers of an open border, stepped up quickly, working with the sheriffs who were having detention capacity issues, set up a site that was appropriate, with a long runway to engage in proper deportation flights. Now that the federal government is resourced and standing up its own mission, using its own authorities, it is no longer necessary, and the plan has always been to protect the Everglades and take it back to a protected area where it's not, a commercial business and airport. So I anticipate you'll probably be able to get that confirmation from somewhere else. I will say it was never expected to be a long-term thing. On the topic of immigration, though, I want to point something out. When I took this job a year and a half ago, I traveled across the state to meet with law enforcement and understand what are the greatest challenges facing our state. And I heard fentanyl, 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 fentanyl. Everybody was petrified of fentanyl. I'm talking a year and a half ago. It is creeping into households and families that are not based on drug abusers, that have not had exposure to hard narcotics, but it was being laced in lesser drugs and finding its way into every community in the country. In just a year and a half, our fentanyl cases are down over 70%. The fentanyl death rate is down almost 50%, and we're still gathering, more recent data in the first part of 2026. It is hard to find fentanyl in this state right now because we shut down the border. It was coming in from the southern border, a lot of it being trafficked in through the cartels. Much of it you could trace all the way back to China, a new type of warfare to go after our young people and take their lives. So I want to thank the Trump administration for shutting down the border, our great legislature and law enforcement for giving us new tools, enhancements to put people away for much longer if they were connected to a large-scale fentanyl sale. So it's been a good result. Any other questions? Are you all right with that? You want me to be your lawyer here? Why don't you say the question and then I'll figure out if she... Oh, the pictures? If you're comfortable with that, go ahead. Yeah.
So much medical talk, and yours is the heartstrings. Your story pulls the heartstrings. Is there anything else that you just feel comfortable sharing about your son? Why? Maybe a little bit more about who he was and how his.
Tell us he was on 10 other substances, Patty.
Well, I think that there's a saying that I used to hear all the time, and it was, you never want to be a part of a club. And I heard that, and I just felt so much sadness for the people that were in that club, but had never in a million years imagined to be a part of that club. Wyatt was the friend that everyone wanted to have. He was beautiful. He was the kind of person that if he had a cell phone and you had a cell phone, but you were in a meeting or talking with him, it never came out. You had his 100% undivided attention. He loved the mountains and he loved all of his friends. I had probably 20 boys that all hung out at our ranch every weekend and all summer long, and they loved each other. They had a brotherhood. This was a strong brotherhood, and I'm very grateful to those young men now because they really protect and take care of Gannon.
Yes, Tracy, they reinstated the 7-0H
It
ban
must
for
have
another
been
year.
horrific what Gannon witnessed, and I think out of the whole experience, just knowing that he was the one with Wyatt when he died.
They do not want to go
alone,
after Kratom.
It just tore me apart. And no, I'll never forget it. I can't replace your child, especially you teach your children, look both ways, watch out, don't go to a city and wear flashy jewelry, stay, always be mindful of what you're doing. You pray to God they don't have to go to war. Of course, you never want to see them get sick of something terminal, and you prepare for all of that, but you
What in
just
the
don't
world?
ever prepare
I don't know.
for them to walk into
We're going
a gas
downhill, ain't
station
it?
Yeah.
and buy something that they can die from or that they can become hopelessly addicted to. And there are so many things in there now that are not the concentrate and that are not the 7-0H. And I will say that our film dives heavily into many of these circumstances of people that are having massive addiction to little bottles that look beautiful. They're blue, feel free.
God.
Feel free. It's so
Goodness
great. And
gracious.
they'll buy one, and then a week later they're buying 5 and 6 and 10 and 14, and they're $20 a bottle. So
I feel like
happens
whoever that
fast
was in the audience
with
was set
all
up
of
to
it.
ask
Yeah.
her a question.
I just know that these laws that we're trying to pass right now definitely is the right direction. But I
Tracy,
think
he
we're
was
gonna have more work
27.
to do.
And he had other substances in his system, and the kratom wasn't quantifiable. It was just there.
someone is presenting at ER with these kinds of, overdoses and what it looks like from your perspective?
You got to watch those recap with Mac videos so you get up to speed. Kate?
So, folks who are coming in, and a lot of them are self-identifying and realizing that this was really a bad decision, something that they shouldn't have gotten involved in. Those are probably the luckier folks, because there are also people who are overdosing and we're identifying them. They look just like an opioid overdose. But in terms of getting them to treatment, those both are opportunities where if we are able to intervene and prevent a death, we're able to counsel them and have discussions and encourage them to engage in treatment. But there are a good amount of people who are self-identifying and saying this was really bad, and they're experiencing just agony trying to stop using it. So that's really the two kinds of scenarios we're seeing with these folks.
Does Narcan work on 708 like it would an opiate?
Yeah, Narcan does work. It does. It is a very, it's essentially almost an opioid. It gets to the same receptors, so the Narcan does help.
Yes, Kate, she wants it all banned.
Yep.
She just changes what she says depending on where
There's
she
a lot
is.
of different factors that contribute to the fluctuations of the numbers we see, and I think that it's a risk to the whole population. We see numbers go up with kids sometimes. We see numbers go up with adults.
That's
even,
facts,
even
Megan.
geriatric folks. And I think that the numbers are frequent enough where I help people on a daily basis. Even two today I'll be seeing in continuity of care who have come a long way. So I think that it's just across the population and everyone is vulnerable.
How will the state of Florida use the same intention level of getting these products off the shelves in terms of bringing awareness to the demographics, the effects, and even the parents or the older adults too that are still not fully aware of what 7-0H is?
So I think that's an excellent question, and I'm going to recruit some support for that.
Sure. Yeah, the question's, what are we going to do to really message and proactively get out ahead of this? Look, we're a year in, not even a year. We didn't even, have a full summer of the first rule, and we haven't had a summer of this new rule. So we're getting out and trying to message today. So we're going to be working with our our healthcare leadership around the state on a county by county level to make sure they understand about our rule, the enforcement mechanisms that are there, both with the commissioner here and other law enforcement bodies. And then we need to work with the legislature on something that's more permanent, robust, and educational to make sure kids are aware that just because something's on a shelf doesn't mean it's necessarily safe. A lot of the adverse health consequences we've seen from 7-OH and derivatives also come from people using the gym. They're looking for a quick pain reliever. Again, a lot of the branding is this is natural, therapeutic, and they don't realize that what they're taking is so highly concentrated. And before you know it, they're either addicted or suffering. So there's a lot that needs to be done. I'm glad here in Florida that we're on the front end and A, making it illegal, but B, looking at longer term plans to educate and prevent it from rearing its head again. Time for one more? Why are we in Tampa Bay? It's not just unique to Tampa Bay. We have seen several cases in Tampa Bay. I also think these guys over here do a fantastic job of research and treating addictions like this. So, we've been in close contact with them as we strategize how to eradicate the problem. Go ahead. Yeah.
One thing. Since you were talking about the strength of naloxone, we have seen, kratom and 7-OH is it responds to naloxone. But
Kratom
it's
doesn't.
close with some of the new derivatives. The binding affinities are very similar. So it's going to have to compete that much more, and we might need to get to the point where we're going to need more than one dose of naloxone. I don't think we're to the point of the orphine analogs and the nitazines and things yet for being poorly responsive, but at least from my experience with forensics, I've seen some things with like the MP or the mitragynine pseudoindoxil have a little bit more of a poor response. But the scariest thing that I just want to share from my experience with pseudoindoxil that I was talking to these guys earlier about is its instability, like post-mortem. So we might not even be able to tell what has killed somebody. And there is no respiratory ceiling with 7-OH with mitragynine pseudoindoxil. It is a dose response for immediate respiratory collapse. It can kill you quick, and if you don't do an autopsy or do like serum sampling in time, you might not even be able to tell what killed them and put a false label on something.
I do want to say the thing about Narcan is that 4 of the 6 people that we had in the documentary, they all had seizures, and Narcan does not work on a seizure. So there is that, right? Okay.
Okay, I'll conclude by saying in Florida, we will always protect our kids. Thank you guys for being here. It means a lot.